Bhagavate Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtki. By regular attendance in classes on the Bhagavatam and by rendering of service to the pure devotee, all that is troublesome to the heart is almost completely destroyed, and loving service unto the personality of Godhead, who is praised with transcendental songs, is established as an irrevocable fact. Jai. Reading from the fourth canto, Creation of the Fourth Order, chapter 21, instructions by Maharaj Prithu, text 27. Ashti Yagya Patir Nama.
Asti Yagya Nama.
Keshanachid Arha Satamaha. Ihamutra cha lakshyante.
Ihamutra Chalakshante.
Jyotshnavatyak Vachid Bhuvaha.
Jyotsnavadya Kvachit Bhuva.
Asti Yagya Patir Nama.
Asti Yagya Nama.
Keshanchit Arha Satamaha.
Ishtanchit Mahasatama.
Ihamutra cha lakyante.
Ihamutra Chalakshante.
Jyotna Can I phone a friend? Jyotsnavatya Vachit Bhuvaha. Asti Yagya Patir Nama.
Asti Yagya Nama.
Keshanachit Arha Satamaha.
Ishtanchit Mahasatama.
Ihamutra chat lakshyante.
Ihamutra Chalakshante.
Jyotsnavatya Vachit Bhuvaha.
Jyotsnavyata Kvachit Bhuva. Asti Yagya Patir Nama.
Asti Yagya Patir Nama.
Keshanchit Arasatama.
Keshanchit Arha Satamaha.
Mutra Chalakshante.
Yamatra Chalakshante.
Jyotsnavyata Kvachit Bhuva.
Jyotsnavatyam Kachit Bhuvaha. Asti Yagya Patir Nama. Keshanchit Arha Satamaha. Ihamutra Chalakshante. Jyotshavantya Vachit Bhuvaha. Asti Yagya Patir Nama. Keshanchit Arha Satamaha. Ihamutra Chalakshante. Yoshavantya Vachit Bhuvaha. Asti.
I think we should skip the, repeat the translation and just go to the purport.
Okay. Sounds good. My dear respectable ladies and gentlemen, are you okay repeating the translation?
I was saying we could still word for it. I was saying we're going to skip the repeat. But if you want to-
Oh, the translation, skip the repeat. Okay. Asti, there must be. Yagya Patihi, the enjoyer of all sacrifices. Nama, the name. Keshanchit, in the opinion of some. Arha Satamaha, O most respectable. Iha, in this material world. Amutra, after death. Cha, also. Lakshante, it is visible. Jyotsnavatyaha, powerful, beautiful. Vachit, somewhere. Bhuvaha, bodies. Translation. My dear respectable ladies and gentlemen, according to the authoritative statements of Shastra, there must be a supreme authority who is able to award the respective benefits of our present activities. Otherwise, why should there be persons who are unusually beautiful and powerful both in this life and in the life after death? Purport by Srila Prabhupada. Ritu Maharaja's sole aim in ruling his kingdom was to raise the citizens to the standard of the God consciousness. Since there was a great assembly in the arena of sacrifice, there were different types of men present, but he was especially interested in speaking to those who were not atheists. It has been explained in previous verses that Prithu Maharaj advised the citizens to become Adokshajadiya, which means God conscious or Krishna conscious. In this verse, he specifically presents the authority of Shastra, even though his father was a number one atheist who did not abide by the injunctions mentioned in the Vedic Shastras, who practically stopped all sacrificial performances, and who so disgusted the Brahmanas that they not only dethroned him, but cursed and killed him. Atheistic men do not believe the existence of God, and thus they understand everything which is happening in our daily affairs to be due to physical arrangement and chance. Atheists believe in the atheistic Shankya philosophy of the combination of Prakriti and Purusha. They believe only in matter and hold that matter under certain conditions of amalgamation gives rise to the living force, which then appears as Purusha, the enjoyer. Then, by a combination of matter and the living force, the many varieties of material manifestation come into existence. Nor do atheists believe in the injunctions of the Vedas. According to them, all the Vedic injunctions are simply theories that have no practical application in life. Taking all this into consideration, Prithu Maharaj suggested that theistic men will solidly reject the views of the atheists on the grounds that there cannot be many varieties of existence without the plan of the superior intelligence. Atheists very vaguely explain that these varieties of existence occur simply by chance, but the theists who believe in the injunctions of the Vedas must reach all their conclusions under the direction of the Vedas. In the Vishnu Purana, it is said that the entire Varnashram institution is meant to satisfy the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The rules and regulations set up for the execution of the duties of Brahmanas, Kshatriyas, Vaishyas, and Shudras, or Brahmacharis, Grihastas, Vanaprasthas, and Sannyasis, are all meant to satisfy the Supreme Lord at the present moment. Although the so-called Brahmanas, Kshatriyas, Vaishyas, Shudras have lost their original culture, they claim to be Brahmanas, Kshatriyas, Vaishyas, and Shudras by birthright. Yet they have rejected the proposition, and such social and spiritual orders are especially meant for worship of Lord Vishnu. The dangerous Mayavad theory set forth by Shankaracharya, that God is impersonal, does not tally with the injunctions of the Vedas. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu therefore described the Mayavadi philosophers as the greatest offenders against the personality of Godhead. According to the Vedic system, one who does not abide by the orders of the Vedas is called a Nashtika, or atheist. When Lord Buddha preached his theory of nonviolence, he was obliged to deny the authority of the Vedas, and for this reason, he was considered by the followers of the Vedas to be a Nashtika. But although Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu very clearly enunciated that the followers of Lord Buddha's philosophy are Nashtikas or atheists because of their denial of the authority of the Vedas, he considered the Shankarites, who wanted to establish Vedic authority by trickery and who actually followed the Mayavad philosophy of Buddha's school, to be more dangerous than the Buddhists themselves. The Shankarite philosophers' theory that we have to imagine a shape of God is more dangerous than denial of the existence of God. Notwithstanding all the philosophical theorizing by atheists or Mayavadis, the followers of Krishna consciousness rigidly live according to the injunctions given in Bhagavad Gita, which is accepted as the essence of all Vedic scripture. In Bhagavad Gita, chapter 18, verse 46, it is said, if it's okay, I'm just going to read the translation. By worship of the Lord, who is the source of all beings and who is all-pervading, man can, in the performance of his own duty, attain perfection. This indicates that the Supreme Personality of Godhead is the original source of everything. As described in the Vedanta Sutra, Janmari Asya Yataha, the Lord himself also confirms in Bhagavad Gita, Aham Sarvasya Prabhavaha, I am the origin of everything. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is the original source of all emanations, and at the same time, as Paramatma, he is spread all over existence. The Absolute Truth is therefore the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and every living being is meant to satisfy the Supreme Godhead by performing his respective duty. Swagamanatam Abhayarcha. Maharaj Prithu wanted to introduce this formula against his citizens. The most important point in human civilization is that one engages in different occupational duties. He must try to satisfy the Supreme Lord by the execution of such duties. That is the highest perfection of life. Swanushtyetasya dharmasya samidir hari doshanam. By discharging one's prescribed duty, one can become very successful in life if he simply satisfied the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The vivid example is Arjuna. He was a Kshatriya. His duty was to fight, and by executing his prescribed duty, he satisfied the Supreme Lord and therefore became perfect. Everyone should follow this principle. The atheists who do not, are condemned in Bhagavad Gita, chapter 16, verse 19, by the following statement. Tataham Dvishtaha Kuran Shamareshu Naradaman. In this verse, it is clearly said that persons who are envious of the Supreme Personality of Godhead are the lowest of mankind and are very mischievous. Under the regulative principles of the Supreme, such mischievous persons are thrown into the darkest region of material existence and are born of asuras, or atheists. Birth after birth, such asuras go still further down, finally to animal forms like those of tigers or similar ferocious beasts. Thus, for millions of years, they have to remain in darkness without knowledge of Krishna. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is known as Purushottama, or the best of all living entities. He is a person like all other living entities, but he is the leader or the best of all living beings. That is stated in the Vedas also, Nityo Nityanam Chaitanash Chaitanam. He is the chief of all eternals, the chief of all living entities, and he is complete and full. He has no need to derive benefit by interfering with the affairs of other living entities. But because he is a maintainer of all, he has the right to bring them to proper standards so that all living entities may become happy. A father wants all of his children to become happy under his direction. Similarly, God or Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, has the right to see that all living entities are happy. There is no possibility of becoming happy within this material world. The Father and the Sons are eternal, but if a living entity does not come to the platform of his eternal life of bliss and knowledge, and there is no question of happiness. Although Purushottama, the best of all living entities, has no benefit to derive from the common living entities, he does have the right to discriminate between their right and wrong ways. The right way is the path of activities meant to satisfy the Supreme Personality of Godhead, as we have already discussed. Swanushti Asya Dharmasya Samidir Hyari Doshanam. A living entity may engage in any occupational duty, but if he wants to have perfection in his duties, he must satisfy the Supreme Lord. As such, one who pleases him gets better facilities for living, but one who displeases him gets involved in undesirable situations. It is therefore concluded that there are two kinds of duties: mundane duty and duty performed of the sake of yagya or sacrifice, yagyartat karma, any karma activity one performs which is not for the purpose of yagya is cause of bondage. Yagyartat karmano nyatra lokoyam karma bandhana. Work done as a sacrifice of Vishnu for Vishnu has to be performed. Otherwise, work binds one to this material world. Bhagavad Gita, chapter 13, verse 9, Karma bandhanaha, or the bondage of karma, is administered under the regulations of the stringent laws of material nature. Material existence is a struggle to conquer the impediments put forth by material nature. The asuras are always fighting to overcome these impediments, and by the illusory power of material nature, the foolish living entities work very hard within this material world and take this to be happiness. This is called Maya. In the hard struggle for existence, they deny the existence of the supreme authority, Purushottama, the supreme personality of Godhead. In order to regulate the activities of the living entities, God has given us codes, just as a king gives codes of law in a state, and whoever breaks the law is punished. Similarly, the Lord has given the infallible knowledge of the Vedas, which are not contaminated by the 4 defects of human life, namely the tendency to commit mistakes, to be illusioned, to cheat, and to have imperfect senses. If we do not take direction from the Vedas, but act whimsically according to our own choice, we are sure to be punished by the laws of the Lord, who offers different types of bodies in the 8,400,000 species of forms. Material existence, or the sense gratification process, is conducted according to the type of body we are given by Prakriti, or material nature. As such, there must be divisions of pious and impious activities, punya and papa. In Bhagavad Gita, chapter 7, verse 28, it is clearly stated, again, if it's okay, I'll just read the translation. One who has completely surpassed the resultant activities of the impious path of life, this is possible only when one engages exclusively in pious activities, can understand his eternal relationship with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Thus, one engages in the Lord's transcendental loving service. This life of engaging always in loving service of the Lord is called a dokshaja diyaha, or a life of Krishna consciousness, which King Prithu meant his citizens to follow. The different varieties of life and material existence do not come about by chance and necessity. They are different arrangements made by the Supreme Lord in terms of the pious and impious activities of the living entities. By performing pious activities, one can take birth in a good family, in a good nation, one can get a beautiful body, or one can become very well educated or very rich. We see, therefore, that in different places and in different planets, there are different standards of life, bodily features, and educational statuses, all awarded by the Supreme Personality of Godhead according to pious or impious activities. Varieties of life, therefore, develop not by chance, but by prearrangement. There is a plan which is already outlined in the Vedic knowledge. One has to take advantage of this knowledge and mold his life in such a way that at the end, especially in the human form of life, he may go back home, back to Godhead, by practicing Krishna consciousness. The theory of chance can best be explained in the Vedic literature by the words Agyanata Sukriti, which refers to pious activities performed without the actor's knowledge. But these are also planned. For example, Krishna comes like an ordinary human being. He comes as a devotee like Lord Chaitanya, or he sends his representative, the spiritual master, or pure devotee. This is also the planned activity of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. They come to canvas and educate, and thus a person in the illusory energy of the Supreme Lord gets a chance to mix with them, talk with them, and take lessons from them, and somehow or other, if a conditioned soul surrenders to such personalities and by intimate association with them chances to become Krishna consciousness, he is saved from material conditions of life. Krishna therefore instructs, translation, abandon all varieties of religion and just surrender unto me. I shall deliver you from the sinful reaction. Do not fear. Bhagavad Gita, chapter 18, verse 66. The word sarva papebhyaha means from all sinful activities. A person who surrenders unto him by utilizing the chance to associate with the pure devotee, spiritual master, or other unauthorized incarnations of Godhead like Prithu Maharaj is saved by Krishna, then his life becomes successful.
Wow.
Srila Prabhupada ki.
That's a lot I ever remember hearing.
Yeah.
Yeah, 15.
Yeah, that's a long one. Actually, there's so many nuggets in this purport by Srila Prabhupada, like so many nuggets from Bhagavad Gita, that actually when I was trying to prepare for this, I was just kind of bewildered by how long the purport was. And I was like, you know what? There's so many nuggets here. However, I think it provides more of a chance for us to kind of just dissect the pieces. And some of the big pieces that I took from this was that there's no such thing as just chance. Like it all happens by chance, you know? as Maharaj Prithu was kind of just saying and slamming down the atheists and the Mayavadis that believe everything just happens by chance. No, he's like really, really trying to enunciate that everything happens by the divine order. And I remember associating with atheists when I was going to college in my younger 20s. I was going to say when I was younger, but I'm still in my 20s. And I remember having these philosophical conversations about life and about how they, think that everything happens. And they would just, it just happens by chance. The Big Bang Theory, like just happened, like boom, all of a sudden we're all here. And all of these varieties, like personalities and whatnot, it's all just a byproduct of chance, or that whole argument, nature versus nurture. We are the way we are because of our environment, and everything is happening by chance. And, there are many moments in my life where I would just look at some of this variety and I would think to myself, there is no way, there's absolutely no way that this just happens by chance. Like, to give you an example, for me growing up, and even till this day, whenever I look at the sunset, I'm like, there is no way that this is this beautiful and this exists just by chance. Like, is there anything, like just one word maybe you can share that you've experienced that you feel like there's no way this is just by chance? Any one word that you've experienced, or a few words? Mozart? Okay.
Rain.
Rain?
Platypus.
Platypus. Okay.
Coincidences and extreme ones.
Coincidences. Yeah. Like childbirth. Yeah. Anything else? No? That's okay. Yeah. A point that I wanted to kind of make about this, about the vast variety that there is, like there are just so many different flowers, so many different types of arrangements, so many different species. And why would this exist if there's no God? To put it practically, let's think about like Build-A-Bear Workshop or McDonald's, where we have the options to like construct something with so many different options, or even like computer software. Why are there so many options? Why are there so many options available at a store, McDonald's, for us? Why? No, seriously, why?
Everybody likes different things.
Everyone likes different things. And what is the main purpose? For enjoyment. Exactly. It's too confused. I mean, it can be confusing. The material energy is for sure very bewildering. But yeah, Kirtaneshwara said it, for enjoyment. Thus, wouldn't the purpose of all of this variety and this existence be for whose enjoyment? For Krishna's enjoyment, right? We think it's for our enjoyment, but are we really enjoying all the time? Do we really enjoy when we go to Build-A-Bear Workshop and we build a rainbow unicorn?
Yes.
Are you enjoying it forever? Like, no, it's not. It's very, very mixed, illusory energy. Like, we think it's for our enjoyment. And because of that, we think, oh, yeah, totally. This just happens by chance. Why do you think that these atheists are so easily, like, able to succumb to this idea of everything just happens by chance? Why?
They don't want to change
They don't want to change what?
their way of life.
Their way of life, which is namely what would you say?
Sense gratification.
Okay, sense gratification, yes.
I really think it's just, they know God, it's envy. It's ultimately envy. It's not anything but envy. Because even an atheist, like I've been an atheist, and it's just like, it's just something people do to become envious at God, because there's no way God doesn't exist. Because everybody really knows, deep down, everybody knows God exists. I think that's just natural, that we all kind of really know God exists.
Mm-hmm.
And so when someone's envious and doesn't want to believe in God, it's kind of like saying, oh, you're not there, but it's actually just envy. It's not actually like, there's ignorant people who just don't know.
For sure.
And atheist people are like, I'm an atheist. They know God exists, they just don't want to, they don't want to deal with that reality.
Mm-hmm.
They don't want to be God. So if God exists, then I'm not God.
Mm-hmm. Which is more or less similar to what Nick Prabhu was saying. It's envy of God, right? And they don't want to change their belief that I am God and I'm the enjoyer and I can enjoy. And it's funny because these people just, run their lives into the ground and, birth, age, disease over and over again until they reach to the species of animals, like it was saying in the purport. And there's no real satisfaction. There's no real enjoyment. So you're right in the sense that all of this like pull and tug is just to please the senses, is just to please the ego and believing I am God. This is for me. And personally, and I know a lot of living entities in this material world, we struggle with that. Even if we have the knowledge and we're trying to surrender unto that, like how many times do we not think, what do I want to eat? Where do I want to go? How do I want things to go? I. And then we suffer so much, but it's like, man, this Mahamaya is just so strong. It's so strong. And I can personally say that in moments of suffering, and I know that when I kind of relinquish the suffering because I've just like cried or I've flustered so much, I'm like, Krishna, why did I turn away from you? Like, why? Because this sucks, and I think that's something that's a blessing that us, Krishna conscious practitioners or devotees have, is that we have the knowledge that we're suffering because, we want to suffer. We're making it about ourselves. So at the very least, we were given this extreme opportunity, this mercy to have this knowledge, right? And another point that I wanted to make about this is that Krishna is always working behind the scenes. He's the authority. He is running the show. And we forget. We forget that. We forget, like, why didn't this happen? Or, Krishna, I'm trying to do this for you. And this and that. Like, we're really, really attached to an outcome. But really, when we just like let Krishna do his thing, let things play out the way that they're meant to play out, then we really see, wow, you were just drawing me closer. Like you really made me able to be an instrument of your service. And one example that was kind of in the Tucson Lady Sankirtan group chat yesterday that I want to use. Well, it's not exclusive anymore. I'm sharing it with you. Okay, and I hope Prabhu is okay with me sharing this, but I was supposed to go to Bulgaria in March for a few weeks, and this has like been like a root topic of struggle between Prabhu and I, right? Because he really wanted to stay in India, and I really want to go to Bulgaria, this and that, just bickering. And then, I finally let go, and I was like, you know what? What if I go to India? You would get to stay for all the Kirtan Melas that are happening at that time, for Gaura Purnim, for the Maha Abhishek, like, what if I go? And like, why didn't this thought like cross my mind? I think because, the idea of being in India for only 10 days, like, that doesn't usually cross people's minds. Like, it's kind of an austere journey across the world to be in India for 10 days. But then when I really thought about it, I was like, this isn't even about your desire to stay in India or my desire to go to Bulgaria. I was like, man, Krishna's wanting me back. Like, the deities want to see me. And another confirmation for that was simply just, asking Gurudev, because as many of you know, Gurudev Jivananda Prabhu, he if you take shelter of him, he's very straightforward. He does not hold back.
You didn't know he's going to be in your classes.
Oh, Gurudev is right there on a water bottle. He doesn't hold back. And at least with me personally, if he thinks like I'm making some decision out of like the mode of passion or something, he'll just say it. You're like, this seems kind of impulsive or this and that. So I wanted to ask him, and I honest to God thought that he would say, no, I think going to India for 10 days sounds a little too, impulsive kind of thing. But you know what he said to me? He said, I can't wait to see you. Oh my gosh. And then, just him saying that this is a once in a lifetime opportunity. Going back to the end of the purport, right before the last Bhagavad Gita quote that's quoted here by Srila Prabhupada, it's just the only chance that we should be taking is the chance to render service. unto the pure devotees of the Lord, is the chance to hear, is the chance to go to these holy dhams, to recharge spiritually, to be able to perform our duties, to be able to get closer to Krishna. What to speak of gaining more knowledge or advancing, like putting that aside, just getting closer to Krishna. Because at the end of the day, I know that is all of our desires, is to get closer. But usually we can't see it. We can't see it because we're covered by this illusion of chance and everything is me and I'm the enjoyer and I'm God, right? We're covered by this and we forget that the real reason why we're here is not to be able to call ourselves like, oh, this and this, Devi Dasi or this Das and with this title, head this, head that, leader of this, president of this. Like, no, it's just to become closer to Krishna. And the way that we do that is, again, by taking these chances, by taking these risks, by doing the endeavor to rendering service unto the pure devotees of the Lord, right? It's 8:40, so I'm going to leave 5 minutes for questions because I think you said 8:45. Yes?
Yeah.
My apologies for arriving late.
Well, no, her quote was,
It was also long. It was some heavy duty stuff.
how many pages is that?
Go ahead.
Maybe she always do a question. I'll say something.
I saw my aunt yesterday and I forgot she had been to Thailand and she was showing me pictures of Buddhist temples that she had visited.
Mhm.
She's very Catholic.
Okay.
She's thought about coming here, but she hasn't come here ever like on a Sunday. But then she was showing me pictures. I guess the Buddhist monks every morning, there's like a big line of them and there'll be people that will like have rice to offer them.
Mm-hmm.
And she was showing me these pictures of her like, just sitting there, like getting ready to offer this like beautiful line of Buddhist monks rice. And I was thinking to myself, I actually told her how like I've heard it here, it's like we know Krishna was Lord Buddha. So, it was like humorously said that actually Krishna like tricks even the Buddhists into worshiping him. And I said that to her and it totally went over her head because she was like, oh yeah, like a double-edged sword. And I was like, well, no, like,
no, just
like,
a sword, actually.
like in a good way. But so I was just, I guess with what we're talking about, I was thinking like how there's no chance that that's Krishna's way of bringing her closer to him, like all I heard was that she was going there to visit like an elephant sanctuary, and then she comes back and she's showing me these pictures of basically serving these Buddhist monks, and I'm like, wow, look at Krishna go,
Yeah, and it said, I forgot how many paragraphs down in the purport, but nothing is happening by chance. Like it's all arranged by Krishna, right? Even like certain personalities coming into this world, such as himself as Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu or our spiritual masters or our Shiksha gurus, like it's all ordained him, or sorry, your Aunt Her going to this Buddhist temple. I can tell you for myself, going through that process of being Catholic, and then not Buddhist, but I was really drawn to Lord Buddha for a while. So I can say like, we don't see it in the moment. We're like, oh, she's not Krishna consciousness. Like there's no way that Krishna consciousness is working through her. No, Krishna is working through all of us. Sometimes it just takes a while to reach a level where we even hear his name, Thank you for sharing that. Yes.
Talking about how there's no chance. And that's a huge realization. Two things is when you're able to let go and realize Krishna's in control, that's like our biggest issue. We don't want to accept Krishna's in control. And we always want something. And if we just stop wanting something that we want an outcome, then it's easy. And the other thing is one time I was with Guru Dev, and we were saying something. He was saying something. He's like talking. He said like something about coincidence. He said, "I don't know. Do you believe in coincidence or do you believe in God?"
He said it like in a talk.
Yeah, you're saying that to me personally.
Oh, okay.
So what if it was just a coincidence? He says, do you believe in coincidence or do you believe in God? In other words, you're saying there's no coincidence. Everything.
The verbiage is synchronicity.
Yeah.
That's more Christian.
Yeah. So everything,
Because it's not- it's-
everything happens according to Krishna's arrangement.
Mm-hmm.
Every emotion we have, and it's always a test. It's a test to make us see how are we going to deal with this emotion. Are we going to continue with our duty?
Mm-hmm.
Are we going to follow the instructions of Krishna and Guru? Or are we going to let our emotions overwhelm us, and in that way, go back down into the material pool
Ain't
of
that
suffering?
the truth?
It was always Krishna's test.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Thank you. Anything else? Prabhu Ito? Comments?
Okay, yeah. I should ask. So I was just curious, how would you personally go about maybe proving God's existence to someone who's at least agnostic? Atheists not all the time will be willing to accept regardless of all the proof you give, but to an agnostic person, what would you do?
How would I prove that God exists?
Yeah, like, well, what are some good examples you'd use?
Man, I'm in the hot seat. I think my not my go-to per se, or I guess for lack of better words, I think I really like to use this whole like soul purpose or soul thing that everyone is trying to achieve, but we struggle to achieve it, and that's love, right? That's like relationships with other entities. We want to exchange and feel love. And so I feel like when I try to encapsulate that and dive deep into the source of that and try to, like get them to see the connection between that, I feel like it's easier to kind of open someone up to the idea when they can see like, oh my God, we all want to be loved and we all want to love, but yet we're just running around like chickens with our head cut off, I think if going in the direction of love and explaining all these different rasas and all these loving exchanges between entities, I think is the way to go. You can try to use philosophy, you can try to use Shastra and the Vedas, but not everyone is in the mental space to receive that. But something that is undeniable for every living entity is our dharma, right? And our dharma is to serve, is to love and service. I hope you're satisfied with that answer.
That was a beautiful answer.
Thank you. Yes, you're done.
I'll say that, like I always go with the approach of that, like Srila Prabhupada there was a lady, really challenging lady, and, she came in, she was coming to the temple for a while, and she was challenging the devotees, and so they showed Srila Prabhupada was going to come, and Srila Prabhupada was there, and he was giving a lecture, and she said, Swami, can you see God?
Mm-hmm.
And Srila Prabhupada said, can you not see God? And she said, no. And then Srila Prabhupada said, do you want to see God? And she said, no. And she walked away. Very sad.
Sheesh.
But the idea is that, if you give something, you say like, if you want to see God, you can qualify yourself. And if you do, you will see God. And I can prove it to you, because a devotee sees God at every moment. We understand, feel God's presence. We can see Krishna. We have faith in Krishna, but it's experiential. So it says, Pratyaksavagamam dharmam, that actually this is experienced and you can experience it. So it's like, I just used the science example that, hydrogen plus 2 oxygen, 2 hydrogen plus 1 oxygen equals water. So if you chant Hare Krishna and you follow 4 regular principles and you take prasadam, then you will see God.
John.
I was thinking of a similar thing with science, but not really science or a scientist. I was thinking of Einstein, because he says, either everything's a miracle or nothing's a miracle, and how could nothing at all be a miracle? How could there be no miracle anywhere?
That just doesn't even make logical sense. Like, these persons claim to be all about logic, and it just doesn't even make logical sense. Like, to just whimsically say, oh, it's by chance. Like, how though? It's quite fascinating to me. I think, Mary.
Yeah, I have, and still sometimes, I have atheist friends, and I hang out with atheists sometimes. And what I have found is some of them are very detached from their emotions and a little afraid of their emotions. So when you said that you appeal to them through love, they are afraid of becoming more emotional and not staying in the logical world. And they try hard to be logical, and then sometimes the most logical answer is, I don't know. And I think a lot of atheists are thinking that religious people want to know things and we can't know. And the scientists go, well, we can't know that. So then that makes them agnostic, right? To say we don't know. But I think a lot of atheists are detached from their emotions and that they can't, that love that. Anyway, that's all I have to say. It's just a little bit of detachment from being able to have emotion, and they want only logic. So there's a place for that in the world, but they balance.
Thank you for sharing that. It's detachment from the self. It's detachment from Paramatma. It's emotions. Yeah, we can say, but it's detachment from what's ourself, right? And our self is a loving, eternal entity. So yeah, thank you for sharing that.
I think people are scared of their emotions going out of
Yes.
control.
Yes.
Yeah,
I've seen that with people, but and they're right.
I can
They're right.
confirm.
They're right, but it's in the best way ever. Transcendental emotions overflowing.
Mhm.
That's what that floodgate they're scared of it.
Try. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai.